All right, welcome to the show. It is Wrestling Uncensored. I am Dave Simon. Johnny North is right here with me. We are here with you every single week talking professional wrestling. You can watch us here on the YouTube channel. You can watch us on Facebook Live as well. If you are watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell when you subscribe so you get notifications every time that we're on. We're counting down to WWE's Money in the Bank. That's going to take place on Sunday, May 10th. Mother's Day. Don't forget about Mother's Day as well. It's not just Money in the Bank, but it's also Mother's Day. So we're going to call it Mother in the Bank so you don't forget about your mom on Mother's Day. You may be like me. You haven't seen your mom in a while. You've been stuck indoors. Your mom's been stuck at her place. Don't forget about your mom on Mother's Day. Mother in the Bank, Sunday, May 10th. See, it's easy for us wrestling fans to remember Mother's Day this year because it's the same day as Money in the Bank. And we have a lot of Money in the Bank to talk about here on the show. Qualifiers this week for the men's match, including Aleister Black, Apollo Crews, Rey Mysterio, and King Corbin, all qualifying for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match coming up on SmackDown next week. Next Friday's episode, we'll have Otis versus Dolph Ziggler for the final spot in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. We will also have Mandy Rose versus Carmella in a Money in the Bank qualifier coming up next week on SmackDown. We have a lot going on in the WWE. We have controversy surrounding the Velveteen Dream that we will address. Also, controversy surrounding the WWE. Are they being forced to work these tapings? There was an anonymous complaint from a WWE person, allegedly a WWE employee, saying that they were being forced to work tapings, and the WWE had to issue a statement. We'll tell you about that. We'll also tell you about the 24/7 champion signing with a football team. I guess we have to talk about that. Also in AEW, some more important wrestling news. Other than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we have things going on in Jacksonville, Florida, and AEW Dynamite running every single week. We have the semifinalists set for the TNT title tournament, the first ever TNT championship, kind of like the AEW Intercontinental title, if you will. Cody Rhodes taking on Darby Allin, and Dustin Rhodes versus Lance Archer, the two semifinal matches set for Wednesday night on AEW Dynamite. A lot of things going on in professional wrestling, Johnny North. I wanted to start with the Money in the Bank match and some news regarding that match, as the WWE gave us, I think, some clues as to what this match is going to be. They told us last week that it was going to be taking place Stamford, Connecticut, WWE headquarters. The match was going to start on the ground floor and was going to finish on the roof with the briefcases suspended above what we could only assume was a ring, although it wasn't really clear if there would be rings or anything on the roof. This week, we saw some images, and they gave us more hints. They said 2 contracts, 12 superstars, 10 floors of chaos. So that's the tagline for Money in the Bank. Climb the corporate ladder, 2 contracts, 12 superstars, 10 floors of chaos. We assumed that this would be a cinematic-style wrestling match, heavy editing, a lot of cuts, not a typical, 2 people in a ring or 6 people in a ring trying to climb a ladder, crashing through things. This was going to be more like the Firefly Funhouse at WrestleMania or the Boneyard match, something, maybe like the Roddy Piper, Goldust, Hollywood, backlot brawl back at WrestleMania. What was it, 12, Johnny North? You know these things better than I do. 12?
I believe it was 12, yes.
Yeah, there you go. See, I'm not so bad. So I think it's going to be one of those types of matches, but now it seems like it's going to be just one match with everybody in it, men and women, all happening at the same time. Did you come to the same conclusion that I did as far as what this match is going to be when they announced 2 contracts, 12 superstars, 10 floors of chaos? 10 floors? I didn't know WWE head office was that big. I thought it was like 5 or 6 floors. I was surprised by the amount of floors, first of all. Second of all, is this going to be one match, men and women, all at the same time?
Well, because there's a photo where there's the 2 briefcases, right? And they're both hung up at the same time, it seems. So it seems it's very possible it's going to happen at the same time. I wouldn't be surprised because it's kind of weird to run the match over twice. Like someone destroys the building, and then we're going to have another match where the building's already destroyed. It's kind of weird. So I could see where this would happen. However, that's 12 people in one match, really, when you think about it. That's a lot.
Yeah, and I don't really understand how that works. They're not wrestling each other, obviously, right? Like the men and the women are going to be, separate in that way. They're not going to wrestle each other. There are 2 contracts, so I don't know, man. It's strange. I guess there's 1 ring. There was a picture with 1 ring and several ladders, and this was, shown on WWE TV, and people kind of screen capped it and put it out there. I'm going to see if I can show you the image here, Big Johnny. Here it is here. If you can see that there, it's kind of like, I'm showing it. If you're watching, if you're listening to the podcast or the radio version, you won't be able to see this, but if you're watching us here, you can see it's like two briefcases suspended above a ring, but it's on a rooftop. It's nighttime, and there are several ladders around. So it seems like that's what we're having here, 2 briefcases at the same time. And I guess, how do you even do that finish? Like, are they going to finish simultaneously? And if they do, come on, that's ridiculous. You can't have this match finish at the same time. It just makes it seem so fake, right? It just seems ridiculous. If the matches finish, somehow the women and the men, they both reach the end of their match. They both reach the top of the building at the same time. I think staggering it would be a better idea. Have one match finish and then the other match finish. But, the WWE, it'll probably be some hokey finish with 2 people grabbing briefcases at the same time, looking at each other like, oh my God, we won Money in the Bank, I don't like the concept at all.
Well, I think they're trying to go for something different, something we've never seen before. They've already delivered with this match. But as you said, this is going to be a cinematic match, so it's very possible that they could easily just pull this off where the women start first and the men end the match.
Right. I guess. I don't know what they're going to do, man. We have no idea, right? And that's part of the strange part about this whole Money in the Bank and the concept of this match is that we really don't know what to expect. We have no clue what we're going to get going into it. And each week here on Wrestling Uncensored, we're getting more and more hints as to what this match is going to be. We're trying to piece together what this thing is. The WWE, last week they said, well, we're not going to do it at the Performance Center. We're going to do it at headquarters. And then this week they tell us, well, yeah, it's going to be everybody at the same time. 2 briefcases above the ring. Look at this. And it's like, okay, what is this? This is not a traditional Money in the Bank ladder match. I don't know. I like pro wrestling. I like 2 people wrestling a solid match in the ring. This kind of stuff is not my favorite. It could work, but it could be a disaster. It's all in the execution. It's hard to tell.
Well, this is a backyard wrestling match pretty much on the tower. So it's not a wrestling match really whatsoever. It's just going to be a bunch of brawling. But I think that's going to be a lot of fun because we've never seen this before. And it'll be interesting to see what they can pull off. They're more likely taping this. So they can easily, if something's terrible, they can easily just cut it and redo the shot.
That's it. It may turn out well, but even knowing that they can edit, we've seen, WrestleMania and what they did there. You would have thought that they would have cut 10 minutes out of that Edge-Randy Orton match at the very least. Their edits aren't always the best, right? They don't always make the right cuts.
I can understand why they didn't cut a lot of it. Apparently, that was even longer than what we saw. Apparently, they did make cuts to that. So just imagine that.
That's crazy. How long did they wrestle for? My goodness. And we haven't seen them since. That match took everything out of them. Where is everybody, John? I'm watching Raw, and it's the Zelina Vega show. It's Zelina Vega and her crew of bad guys. Andrade, Mini Andrade, and Junior Andrade, right? It's Andrade and then the other Andrades. There's Andrade Theory and Andrade Garza, and then Andrade Sr., who's the U.S. champion, and then he's got Zelina Vega with him. What is going on here with Zelina and all the Andrades, and where are the superstars of Monday Night Raw? Where is AJ Styles? Where is Kevin Owens? Where is, I guess not Brock Lesnar, but where is Edge? Where is Randy Orton? Where are these guys? Where are the superstars that we watch Raw for? I watch Raw now, and I see a lot of Drew McIntyre and then Zelina Vega and her crew of Andrades.
Well, it just seems like they're using a limited roster right now. Regardless that Raw has a huge roster, if they're not working the pay-per-view, it seems like they're not going to be a part of TV whatsoever. They're just focusing on the talent that's going to be used for the pay-per-view, and they just fill it with a bunch of people from NXT.
It's filled with a bunch of nothing. Raw was a bunch of nothing this week. And there's only so long that this can go on for. I understand that there are travel restrictions, and I don't really know what the situations are for each of the individual wrestlers that I talked about. But, man, you would think that you would want to involve at least one of those guys, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Edge, Kevin Owens. One of those guys you would think would be involved in Raw right now, but they're all missing in action. And maybe it has to do with them not wanting to show up to TV because of coronavirus fears and all sorts of stuff like that, which I totally understand. But making Raw pretty hard to watch on a weekly basis here when I'm watching Aleister Black versus Austin Theory and Ricochet and Cedric Alexander beating Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink? Who? That Brendan Vink is a big dude, though. Jacked to the gills. My goodness, but who are those guys? Austin Theory just showed up, and now he's supposed to be like a legitimate superstar that I watch every week? I don't think so. Shayna Baszler beating Indy Hartwell? Who? Viking Raiders cutting one of the worst promos I've ever seen. Nia Jax nearly killing Kairi Sane. At least there you have two people you've heard of in a match. But my goodness, that choke bomb in the corner. What was Nia thinking there? She nearly destroyed Kairi Sane, almost broke her neck on that choke bomb in the corner. Nia Jax winds up beating Kairi Sane after a Samoan drop. Of course, Nia beats Kairi Sane, no surprise there. But geez, Nia Jax, she is not very good.
Well, I don't know really what was the point of that match. It was for Kairi to get like some revenge, but she barely got any offense in, and in the end, it just looked like it wasn't really worth it because it seemed like she got more hurt going into that match.
Yeah, I don't really see what the point of that match was at all. I don't really see what the point of Ricochet and Cedric Alexander versus Shane Thorne and Brandon Vink. Rico nearly died on that Hurricane Rana, too. He did a Hurricane Rana on Brandon Vink, and my goodness, landed right on his head. I was like, uh-oh. Like, you're trying to pull off some cool moves, but you're in there with guys that don't really know what they're doing. They're not at the same level. They're inexperienced. They're young NXT guys. They're being used as jobbers, and be a shame if something terrible happened to Ricochet there, and it almost did. Something terrible nearly happened in two matches that really meant nothing. Ricochet almost broke his neck on a Hurricane Rana in that tag match for nothing, an enhancement match for Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. They're enhancing this tag team for what? Do we really believe these guys are actually going to go somewhere in the WWE tag division? I don't. I don't believe the WWE have real plans for these guys. They're just filling time because they were there on TV. They were there for the tapings. Nia Jax, Kairi Sane. Bobby Lashley's flipping giant tires for some reason. First they said it was a tractor tire, then they said it was a monster truck tire. They couldn't even keep straight what kind of freaking tire it was. And then I'm supposed to be impressed by Bobby Lashley just flipping a tire. I don't care about that. That's your big, impressive segment. MVP cuts a promo and then loses to Apollo Crews. Crews hit him with a powerbomb, beats him with a pin, qualifies for Money in the Bank. Good for Apollo Crews, but man, he's been jobbed out and disappeared for so long. It's hard to get behind Apollo Crews. That was all right, I guess. Considering the rest of Raw that I just talked about, that was fine. Aleister Black and Austin Theory had an okay match. Black beating him to qualify for Money in the Bank. Not a lot of star power on this Raw.
Well, I actually thought Raw started off pretty good for the first 2 hours. I think it's when that Viking Raiders promo happened, that's where Raw started to go on the downslide a bit. It's when that third hour hit, it's like you really saw the lack of star power. Because I think it was Bianca against a jobber. I think it was the Drew McIntyre match, and then Andrade against the jobber. It's like, wow, this is your last hour, so I'm supposed to care going into that? It was hard.
Yeah, we had that Viking Raiders promo where they were in their helmets, in a car. One of them was eating a thing of ham, and they were just saying things and then saying, Viking Raiders, afterwards, and it was horrible. It was so bad. It made that Vince promo on SmackDown look like a brilliant Dusty Rhodes or Ric Flair promo from the 80s. It really was just god-awful. We'll talk about that Vince promo from SmackDown, too. That was some interesting stuff. My God, pal, what was that? Oh, boy. But that Viking Raiders promo, that'll go down in history, I think, as one of the worst promos ever. That was very bad. Any chance that they do another one on Raw Monday night?
I think this might become their new thing. I think they're more of a fun-loving tag team where they're also they kick people's butts, but they also do goofy stuff too as well. I think this was what they wanted to do with the Revival, but the Revival didn't want to do that stuff, and now they're giving it to the Viking Raiders, kind of just to show them, being like, oh, we can show you this will get over.
Do all their tag teams have to be goofy? Can't we have a serious, legit threat, mean tag team? The Viking Raiders are scary-looking dudes when they come out. As soon as they open their mouth, it's like, not so scary anymore. So how about they shut up? How about they don't talk? How about they don't do promos? Every tag team in the WWE is goofy. New Day, Miz and Morrison. Heavy Machinery had the opportunity to be presented as a serious threat tag team, turn into total goofballs. You look at them, they are big dudes. Otis and Tucky, they are big, massive dudes. Heavy Machinery, goofballs. AOP, it's only a matter of time before they turn those guys into dancing goofballs. Usos. Who isn't a goofball tag team in the WWE? All these guys get turned into goofballs, and then the ones that you're supposed to take seriously, they get a tag team like the Ascension. They kept them serious their whole run, but they just jobbed them out. Why do they think that to get over as a tag team, you just have to be this goofy comedic act? It works for the New Day, but it doesn't have to work for everybody. In fact, the fact that it works for the New Day means that it shouldn't be done with everybody else. But, you watch SmackDown, every tag team there's goofy as hell. The Forgotten Sons are coming out. At least they're presented as, somewhat kind of mean and angry and realistic. They're coming out. They seem angry. They seem serious, at least. But with them, you figure, matter of time before they get jobbed out too. They did a beatdown on Kofi and Big E, but Only a matter of time before Kofi and Big E get revenge. You think the Forgotten Sons are going to come in and beat the New Day in their first match for the tag team titles? I don't.
No, I don't either, but I think they're going to get the shot at the pay-per-view, though. I look at all the other tag teams, and I think they're probably the strongest team going into it.
So what, pal? Who cares? They'll get the shot at the pay-per-view. Yeah, and this is exactly what happens to tag teams, right? You know it just as well as I do. They're going to get the shot at the pay-per-view, they're going to lose, and then they're going to get jobbed out. They're going to lose to another team, and then another team. They'll lose to Heavy Machinery, and then you won't see them again for a couple of months, and then you'll be like, whatever happened to the Forgotten Sons? Oh, yeah, I forgot about those guys.
Well, we've seen this happen over the years. This always happens with most tag teams. They don't take tag teams really that seriously, and that's why they make them into jokes, unfortunately, because they don't take tag team wrestling seriously. I get why the Revival left now, because they've really done all they could do.
Yeah, they just don't take them seriously in any kind of way. It's too bad. At least they have the New Day to kind of keep everything together. You know, the New Day as those centers of the tag team division, at least they're there and you can rely on them to be legit. And, you know, they may be goofy, they may be funny, but they're also a hell of a tag team. And, you know, they're really talented guys. The other guys that try to do it, it just doesn't work. You know, when the New Day does it, it's authentic. That's them. But everybody else are trying to be this goofy team. It doesn't work for everybody. The Viking Raiders look intimidating. You know, Kofi doesn't look that intimidating. He needs something else. Xavier Woods doesn't look that intimidating. Big E looks intimidating, but, you know, he fits in with the group. But the Viking Raiders, they're scary-looking guys. You don't have to be goofy. Just ridiculous. Then the rest of Raw here, you had Liv Morgan beating Ruby Riott. Beat her with a flatliner. Just kind of nothing match. You have this whole feud, and then you have a just throwaway match on Raw. Ends in about 3 minutes. I mean, how long was the build for this? Like 2-3 months? And then you just kill it in a 2-minute match on Raw. What was the point of that?
Well, it was weird because they had Sarah Logan mentioned in this, and they didn't use Sarah Logan. So it was kind of odd.
Well, because she's released. They released her. Like, they talked about her on Raw, but she'd been released like 4 or 5 days before. Right?
Yeah. It's weird that they mentioned this, but the thing is, because like they have the 90-day no compete, right? So apparently they could still wrestle. Like we see Drake Maverick, he wrestled this week in NXT, and they're pushing that storyline that he got released, but because of the 90-day no compete, he can still wrestle in that period of time. So apparently other people might be used that have the 90-day no compete.
So they'll be used, but not under contract. They'll just be paid per appearance. Is that what's going on with Drake Maverick? That's a weird story, right? Jake Maverick was released, but then he appears on the WWE show The Bump, like an interview show on the network, and then he also wrestles on NXT in the cruiserweight tournament there for the championship. And I guess he's still there, but not. I mean, that's kind of rough, man. He's using the fact that he was fired. They're using it as a storyline, and then what happens at the end? He loses a match, and then it's like, oh, well, sorry, Drake Maverick, you were fired, goodbye. Or at the end of it, does he win the interim title, and then he gets his job back? He saves his job by winning the title? I mean, that would be a cool story, and it would be a real story, but very strange that they would do it, right? Like, the whole thing is really weird. They fired Drake Maverick, and he's still wrestling for them, just not under a contract, just on a per appearance basis, which is just bizarre.
Well, what's more bizarre is because the tournament, the way it works, there's like the A and B brackets. So apparently you wrestle 3 matches in your bracket. So he's going to wrestle 3 times. He's already lost 1 match. So he's got at least 2 more matches. But those matches are against like Kushida and I think Tony Nese, 2 of the top cruiserweights. I don't think he's going to win those matches.
Well, you're telling me that the WWE is doing a tournament with junior heavyweights with 2 brackets, A and B, and it's round robin style, and Kushida's in it? Gee, I wonder where they got that idea from. Weird. So weird.
Well, they may mention that Kushida's good in this kind of environment, this kind of tournament.
Yeah, it's called the Best of the Super Juniors, and New Japan does it way better than the WWE. Unfortunately, there's no New Japan Pro Wrestling to watch. There hasn't been for months, and it's really frustrating because I am missing New Japan Pro Wrestling. AEW and WWE are fine, but my goodness, I cannot wait for New Japan to get back into action. There are so many wrestlers that I'm missing right now. Naito, Will Ospreay, Okada. It's frustrating not to see New Japan. WWE is just terrible. And then just to think that there are great wrestlers out there like Naito and Will Ospreay not able to wrestle while I have to watch, Viking Raiders do that promo and Seth Rollins sit at home on a big throne. Seth Rollins is going to wrestle Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship and Money in the Bank. That was made official this week on Raw, so that is 100% happening. Rey Mysterio beat Murphy after the 619 and a frog splash to qualify for the Money in the Bank. I thought that was a solid match. Always great to see Rey Mysterio, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, future Hall of Famer. If Rey is in the building, if Rey is available for TV right now, you use him because he's Rey Mysterio. Why wouldn't you use him? I told you he was going to win on the show last week. Johnny North disagreed. Hate to say I told so, John, but I told so.
Well, it equals out. Like, Ray won, Buddy Murphy should have won. I mean, Murphy should have won. But Corbin won on SmackDown, so it evens out.
Did I pick Gulak?
You wanted Gulak because of the whole Daniel Bryan thing.
Right. Now, Corbin, he winds up winning, and it's strange. I thought that Elias was going to jump into that match if Corbin was going to be in it, but they're saying Otis versus Dolph Ziggler is going to be the final qualifier on SmackDown next week, right? Because we have 5 guys in this match already. We have Daniel Bryan, we have Rey Mysterio, we have Apollo Crews, we have Aleister Black, and now we have King Corbin. So there's only room for one more. Now, the inclusion of Otis and Dolph Ziggler in this thing leads me to believe that there will be Mandy Rose appearing in this thing as well in the women's side, and there's going to be some sort of deal with Mandy and either Dolph or Otis in the Money in the Bank ladder match itself. I think there will be, some degree of interplay between the men and women in the Money in the Bank ladder match because it's all happening at the same time. And, there are not that many storylines kind of going between the men and women right now. Like, Asuka doesn't have anything going with Daniel Bryan or Rey Mysterio or Aleister Black. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that really makes sense is, Otis or Dolph Ziggler, whoever wins that match, having something with Mandy Rose. Now, Mandy Rose has a qualifying match with Carmella on SmackDown that I'm assuming she will win. Right?
Well, it just, like you said, it makes the most sense because she has the storyline. So Mandy, it almost seems like a lock. And I think Dolph more likely than Otis because Dolph has more experience in this kind of match. So I think you need a guy like Dolph more than Otis.
Dolph would make more sense, and it would make it Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, Apollo Crews, and King Corbin as your male participants in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Asuka, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, who qualified this week with a win over Sasha Banks on SmackDown, and Mandy Rose or Carmella will be in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, official for the WWE title. Drew is looking pretty strong. He beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Are they really going to have him beat Seth clean, though, here at Money in the Bank? That would be a very big win, and I think a big step down for Seth Rollins.
Yeah, but I think this is Drew McIntyre's time, and they're trying to get him over as a champion, and it's kind of tough because there's not a lot of top contenders on Raw. He's wrestling Andrade, who just came back from an injury, so he didn't have a lot of momentum going into that. And then he wrestles Angel Garza. Now, Garza's a good wrestler, but he has been pushed to be a top wrestler, so There's not a lot of top guys from the wrestle. He needs to wrestle Rollins.
Yeah, but another loss here for Seth Rollins. I mean, this is one of the top guys in the WWE. It would be surprising to see. I mean, I guess not surprising given where Drew McIntyre is. It kind of makes sense that Seth won't win here. I don't expect him to win, but it's a little bit odd, coming off the loss to Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, losing again here at Money in the Bank in a high-profile match against Drew McIntyre. It shows you where Seth Rollins is right now. It's strange that they bring them up and then they bring them down, but that's the WWE way. I shouldn't really be surprised. Elsewhere on Monday Night Raw this week, we saw Charlotte Flair beat Kaden Carter, whoever that is, with a figure-8 submission. Andrade beat Akira Tozawa via pinfall after the nice top rope hammerlock DDT. Bianca Belair beat somebody called Santana Garrett. The Street Profits were very annoying on commentary during that match. I was not really liking that. And then Drew McIntyre beat Andrade Angel Garza via pinfall after his kick deal. I'm really tired of seeing Drew McIntyre versus Zelina and the Andrades. That's my main takeaway from Raw. After watching 2 or 3 weeks of this, I don't know how long it's been. It's hard to keep track of time during these times, but geez, it feels like forever we've been watching Drew versus Zelina and all the Andrades. Andrade Theory, Angel Andrade, and Andrade. Big Andrade Flair, as I like to call him.
Well, I think next week on Raw, they're hyping it's going to be a contract signing between Drew and Seth Rollins. So you have that to look forward to. But I imagine Zelina Vega is going to probably interrupt that in some capacity because it really seems like she runs the show.
Yeah, what happened? Why? I mean, she's good. I like Zelina Vega. I think she's very talented, cuts a hell of a promo. She's good. She's really good, but it's like, what? You don't believe in any of these guys to beat Drew McIntyre. What's the point? Drew McIntyre's up against these guys. He kicks them all. They all fall down. And it's like, well, none of these guys are really a threat.
I think the main problem is that they couldn't even beat the tag champions at WrestleMania, and they couldn't even do it in the rematch. And then we're supposed to take them as a credible threat against the WWE champion. It just really devalues everybody. I mean, it's great. They get a lot of airtime. Selena gets to talk a lot. That's cool. But you don't believe much in these matches. The problem with a lot of these matches, you know who's going to win. It's not exciting.
Not to mention totally devalues the United States Championship that's held by Andrade Flair, Big Andrade, because, he's the U.S. champion. Who really cares? He's getting jobbed out. He's getting beat up. Him with 2 of his other friends, 3 Andrades can't even beat Drew McIntyre. So what does the U.S. Championship really mean when it's held by the main Andrade Uno? Bianca Belair beat Santana Garrett. Drew McIntyre over Angel Garza. That was Raw this week. It was long and strange. We have to take a short pause for the radio side. When we come back, I want to talk about Vince McMahon's promo to congratulate Triple H. The bizarre, very strange stuff from WWE this week. The strange Triple H 25th anniversary deal that happened on SmackDown with Shawn Michaels and different phone calls, and then Vince McMahon. We'll get to that and everything else that happened on SmackDown, and we'll tell you about AEW. We'll give you our picks to who is going to become the first ever AEW TNT champion. It's Wrestling Uncensored. Stay with us. You know what I'm saying, John?
Well, you're huffing and puffing, it sounds like. So it sounds like it's commercial time, right? Getting ready for that?
Commercial break time, yeah. Well, I just took a break, and, a lot of talking, brother. A lot of talking. We've been very busy. Let's tell everybody about our friends over at Stitcher, shall we? Shall we do that?
Goodbye.
See ya. Stitcher. Let me tell you about my friends over at Stitcher. Here at the Ringside Report Network, we've been producing podcasts for about 15 years, and many of you have used Stitcher to either stream or download our shows, Wrestling Uncensored, Ringside Report MMA. Now, Stitcher offering you the Ringside Report universe as part of their sponsorship of our work, a special offer on the premium version of their service. Besides all of our shows. You can listen to over 100,000 podcasts on your iPhone, Android, tablet, PC, Amazon Echo device, or in your car on demand, ad-free with Stitcher Premium. You get access to Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, comedy albums, and much more. Just $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year. What you want to do is you go to Stitcher.com/premium right now, Stitcher.com/premium. Sign up today and use the special promo code RINGSIDE for a free month of Stitcher Premium. That's promo code RINGSIDE when you go to Stitcher.com/premium and sign up today. How about it?
Sounds good.
It does sound good. We're sounding good, John. We're very busy. We got a lot more wrestling to get to. It's crazy how much is happening in pro wrestling considering how little is happening in the world right now. You know, like nothing's happening. You look around, like everything's so boring. But in pro wrestling, it's like, my God. Every week we show up on this show and it's like we have too much to talk about.
We're not even talking about Impact Wrestling, which had a show this past week.
Oh, yeah, they had a thing, right? What was that?
Well, it was their Rebellion pay-per-view, which they just put on TV instead. But it was night 1, so night 2 is next week.
Did they do it in front of people? How did they do it?
No, it was empty arena kind of thing. And all the matches were just like in a ring. But the last match, I think it was Shamrock against Sammy Callahan. That started in the ring and then became a movie.
How was it?
It was okay. Like I wouldn't say it was like you have to see it, but it was all right.
Anything I have to see on that show?
I thought Kylie Ray, she was very good. She really stood out.
She was in AEW when she left, right?
Willie Mack against Ace Austin. That was also very good.
I like Willie Mack. Kylie Ray was in AEW, right?
Yeah, she was for like
a minute. Uh-oh, where's Johnny? Johnny, you froze out on me. Where's Johnny North? What happened? Oh, no. Johnny froze out. Well, we'll get Johnny back in a second here. I'll tell you about our friends over at IP Vanish. Now, these days, security on the internet is a concern. Identity fraud, theft, and privacy are major preoccupations. Hackers are at home with time on their hands, and they've got nothing better to do than to try and attack you because they're jerks. Now, there are hackers who spend their days lurking to find someone that they can attack. They can get access to all of your stored information, passwords, credit cards. Keep them out with IP Vanish. You need a VPN, and IP Vanish now 73% off until the end of April. Instead of $143.88 for a year, pay just $39 for the first year. Now, with this offer, IP Vanish is throwing in 250 gigs of secure cloud storage. You can back up all of your important data to the cloud at no extra charge. This is an outstanding deal for the Ringside Report universe. We need you to stay healthy, and we need you to stay secure. That's why we're recommending what we use, IP Vanish. Sign up right now. Go to vpn.ringsidereport.net. That's vpn.ringsidereport.net. And if you sign up for a subscription that'll include a 7-day money-back guarantee using our link, the Ringside Report Network will receive a small commission that'll help us produce more content. So use that link, vpn.ringsidereport.net, and sign up to IP Vanish today. Johnny, you're back.
I vanished, and now I returned.
Yeah, you froze out there on me. So I was like, uh-oh, Johnny froze, so I'm going to do a commercial.
Good call.
You good? We're good? Shall we?
I think we should.
Let's do it! And welcome back. It's Wrestling Uncensored. I'm Dave Simon. He is Johnny North. Check us out online at ringsidereport.net. You can go to our website. We have a lot of content there. There's a lot going on. There's MMA with Ringside Report MMA. Everything going on in the UFC. And believe me, there's a lot going on in the UFC. Check out Fred, AJ, and myself every Thursday night at 8 p.m. We go live on YouTube and Facebook Live for Ringside Report MMA Thursdays at 8 p.m. on the YouTube channel. check us out right now at ringsidereport.net. You can download the podcast version of that show as well, just like this show. We also had a very special edition of Dave and Johnny Live this week. If you want more pro wrestling talk, we talked about the latest episode of Dark Side of the Ring, the Dino Bravo story. Of course, a Canadian wrestling legend, wrestled in the WWE and was murdered, unfortunately, in his home in Laval, Quebec. And we talked about the Dino Bravo story with Pat LaPrade, who is a Montreal wrestling historian and was also part of the making of the Dark Side of the Ring and was in the episode, the Dino Bravo episode. So it was very enjoyable to talk with Pat LaPrade on Dave and Johnny Live, and you can check out that conversation right now on our YouTube channel and online at ringsidereport.net. The video is right there on our front page, the Dino Bravo Dark Side of the Ring recap with Pat LaPrade, who was in the episode. So that was pretty cool to get somebody who was on Dark Side of the Ring on Dave and Johnny Live this week. That was a good show this week, a lot of fun, and I hope you're able to check it out at ringsidereport.net. That was a good one, eh, Johnny?
Well, it was just great to talk to Pat. Like, mainly it was because of him that episode happened. He put a lot of that together, so thank to him for showing up on our show and for making that show possible. That's
it. The guy, he loves pro wrestling, and I appreciate anybody who has a deep passion for professional wrestling. Great stuff from Pat LaPrade on Dave and Johnny Live this week. Let's get back to some current-day professional wrestling, what's happening on WWE Smackdown. We had quite a promo from Vince McMahon. Let's skip to the end here, what happened on SmackDown. I think that was really the highlight of the week for me. It was a mess of a promo, but I enjoyed it. I enjoy seeing Vince McMahon. It's very rare that you see, the genius that is Vinnie Mac. My goodness, that was quite something. So Triple H comes out, and it's time for the Triple H 25th anniversary celebration. Shawn Michaels shows up to celebrate with him. Shawn Michaels says he's got 2 words for Triple H: social distancing. No hugs for Triple H. And they go back and forth. Shawn's telling jokes. It's a lot of that DX comedy stuff. It wasn't really good. Triple H, standing there with Shawn, and Shawn's like, oh, I sent hundreds of invites to your closest friends, and they're all here for you. And, of course, nobody's there because, it's empty arena shows, but that's the joke. And he's like, oh, at least Cole and Corey showed up for you, but they have to be here because they're the announce team. And, it's a lot of kind of making fun of Triple H, which I wasn't really expecting. I thought they would be a little bit more serious and kind of celebrating the guy, but they proceeded to bury him quite a bit. Shawn says that he's mad that they didn't give him a 25th anniversary celebration, so it looks like he's kind of taking it out on Triple H. And then he shows a DX video package with pretty much all bloopers of things that Triple H had done over the years, making Triple H look kind of foolish. And then they show Triple H's 13 losses at WrestleMania. I didn't realize that he'd lost 13 times. This kind of shows you how many Manias he's been a part of. But, it is true. He has lost a lot of those big Mania matches. And Shawn just straight up telling Triple H, you weren't that good. That was quite a moment on SmackDown.
It was more of a roast instead of like a celebration. I thought Stephanie had the best moment in that when she made fun of Shawn and his lazy eye. That made me pop.
Yeah, you like that? Well, Shawn says everything stopped, all the fun stopped when Triple H met Stephanie No Fun, and then Stephanie calls Triple H on his phone, and she's complaining about Shawn and saying Shawn needs to stop mocking her. She can see Shawn. She's watching him live on TV, and she says he needs to stop that with his lazy eye. And, there's that stuff, little comedy bit there. And then Ric Flair calls Triple H. He's crying for some reason, talking about how much he loves Triple H. And then he says, don't let Shawn super kick you at the end of the segment. I like that. I thought that was a good line from the Nature Boy because, of course, he said segment, which I don't think you're supposed to say, and he said, don't let Sean super kick you, which he is known to do. And then Triple H picks up his phone again, and he looked kind of mad, and then we just fade to black, and we go to commercial. Did you think that he'd been hacked or something? Like, he needs IP vanish. What's going on, Triple H?
It actually would have been a good idea to use the hacker gimmick that they've been using, but I don't think that was planned. I think they realized, hey, we have to go to commercial. Maybe Vince was calling him and said, like, we're going off the air, pal, for now. Too bad.
It was very strange, and then we come back to commercial, and Road Dogg is on the phone for some reason, and then Triple H gets rid of him, and then Vince McMahon comes out, and this is when it gets pretty weird. It gets pretty strange here, pal. My goodness. He says he wants to congratulate Triple H on, or Paul, as he calls him, on 25 years. He says, this is my son-in-law, this is Paul, and under normal circumstances, he'd give him a big hug, but he's not going to do that. And then he says, people normally, they chant Triple H, but now they'd be chanting boring, because this has been a terrible performance. And then Vince proceeds to bury the segment that he's on. He's currently on the segment. He comes out and starts burying it, and then goes into this rambling speech about how this is kind of like the gobbledygooker when that thing came out of the egg. See, I thought that we needed a mascot for the WWE, so a gobbledygooker would be a great idea. And he came out at Survivor Series, and The Undertaker debuted at that event, don't forget. And yes, gobbledygooker, and he got no reaction, no boos, and no cheers. And I was shocked. I didn't understand why these people didn't like the gobbledygooker. And then this segment reminds me of that, or Katie Vick, ha ha ha. Or then the Bailey, this is your life segment. Remember that, pal? That was terrible, but of course, that wasn't Bailey's fault. That was weird. That part, too, is like, okay, Vince is talking about bad segments throughout history. You throw out the gobbledygooker, but Vince couldn't let the gobbledygooker thing slide without mentioning, hey, by the way, maybe that was a terrible idea, but at the same event, I created the freaking Undertaker, pal, so shut your mouth about gobbledygooker. I'm Vince McMahon. I'm a genius. Like, he had to slide that in. Like, he couldn't just say, oh, yeah, gobbledygooker, what a terrible idea. He also had to mention, don't forget, that's where Undertaker debuted, so it wasn't all bad there, was it, pal? And then he talks about Katie Vick, which, of course, Sean had mentioned, one of Triple H's all-time terrible angles, which made sense to mention here. And then he's like, oh, and that Bailey, this is your... It looked like he was like, what else was really bad? What else did I hate? What else am I going to bury here? Oh, yeah, that Bailey, this is your life segment that we did, like, a year ago that no one remembers except for Vince McMahon because I hated it so much, pal. Like, I bet you Vince talks about that segment all the time and how much he hates it. I honestly don't really remember it, but then Vince also had to add the caveat of, well, that wasn't Bailey's fault, pal. That wasn't Bailey's fault that this is your life. That was a stupid writer, but we fired him. Like, what? That was just bizarre, man. It was bizarre. Yeah, what did you think of that?
Well, I remember This Is Your Life, Bailey, and that was, I think, the worst segment ever. That was really bad. So Vince, that was a great point. I thought Vince was burying it for the right reasons. It's true. Like, it was bad. Most people chant boring to Triple H. I'm like, Vince is really on par here. It's just when you start talking about the gobbledygooker stuff, it's like, Vince seems to be, like, lost somewhere. Like, why does he talk about this right now? Yeah. I think Vince is getting too old. This shouldn't be on TV.
That's it. When he came out and then started talking about how the segment was boring, and then it didn't make sense. Like, the sentence before gobbledygooker and then the sentence when he brought in gobbledygooker, they didn't connect. And it was kind of like, why is he talking about gobbledygooker? Is he confused? Is he having, like, some sort of episode right now? What is happening with Vince? He kind of turned it around and it all made sense in the end, kind of. But, yeah, it was strange. And, like, classic Vince coming out and just burying the segment that you're on. It was a very strange segment where they came out, they're supposed to celebrate Triple H, they just make fun of Triple H, and then Vince comes out and doubles down on it, not only makes fun of Triple H, makes fun of the whole segment and how terrible it was, and then he says he loves them, but it's time to wrap it up. He leaves, the lights go out, and then cricket sounds play, and then you hear Triple H's voice goes, is that crickets? And then Sean's like, yeah, it's kind of like like your whole career. And then that's the end of SmackDown. What?
Yeah, that was very disappointing. That could have been so much better than what it was. I'm very disappointed. Like, you have a great star like Triple H, something they pushed for over 25 years. You could do something with that. And the fact that they just wasted that, and they wasted a Vince appearance for that as well, terrible.
You thought Triple H was going to announce he was going to be in Money in the Bank because they were saying last week on SmackDown that Triple H has never won Money in the Bank. But doesn't look like that's happening now.
No, I hope he's not in Money in the Bank whatsoever. However, Brock Lesnar wasn't supposed to be in Money in the Bank, and he did win it last year. So you never know. And again, it's Triple H, so you never know. However, after that, yeah, I don't want to see Triple H again. Like, Triple H, time and time again, he does this. Like, he has these horrible segments, and it's like, why is Triple H the top guy? He shouldn't be the top guy. This is so bad.
Well, maybe this was all part of the angle where Triple H, who better than Triple H to climb the corporate ladder? Triple H has never won Money in the Bank. Shawn buries him. Shawn said he wasn't very good. Vince buries him. Everybody's burying him. 25 years in this business. It's time to climb the corporate ladder, win Money in the Bank, and show everybody that you're still the gamer. You're still the cerebral assassin. You're still the king of kings. No? This is how Triple H proves everybody wrong. If anybody's going to win a match at WWE headquarters, it should be Triple H.
It's just terrible how they're trying to build new stars, and they're just burying their old ones. So how is anyone supposed to get over when the past is terrible, and no one can care about the future because you never got the future over to begin with?
Bizarre. It was a very strange closing segment to SmackDown. It was not what I was expecting. I can't say I wasn't entertained. I was definitely entertained, but I don't really see what the point of it was. I don't think there was a point. I think they were just filling time.
And that's a shame. That really could have been something. I get the goofiness, but the end game, there should have been something to that. Not just, well, show's over, too bad. That's bad. That was a wasted opportunity right there.
Sheamus beat Daniel Vidot. Who? Another job match. And then Sheamus got in Michael Cole's face. Why does Sheamus hate Michael Cole? It's very strange. He got in Cole's face again this week on SmackDown, ripped his headset off, and just kind of stared at him. Didn't make a lot of sense. I don't understand why Sheamus hates Michael Cole so much.
Well, the main reason is because he keeps talking about Jeff Hardy during his matches. And I guess it was after his match, but he's still talking about it, so he was upset. So it's leading to Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, but for now it's Michael Cole because Jeff Hardy's not there.
I see. Okay. They did another Jeff Hardy video package this week, and they're hyping another one for next week. Lucha House Party beat the former tag team champions Miz and Morrison. Very surprising to see Lucha House Party actually win a match. Miz got rolled up by Gran Metalik. I wonder if they're doing some sort of weak link storyline with Miz and Morrison. Miz was the one who lost the tag team titles for the team in the singles triple threat match last week on SmackDown, and now Miz loses the match for his team to the Lucha House Party, who I don't think have picked up a win on TV in months. So seeing them win here, very surprising. I was sure that Miz and Morrison were going to win, but no, Gran Metalik rolling up the Miz in what could be described as the biggest win in Grand Metalik's career.
It's definitely up there. I feel like he's had some big matches on 205, but I guess you could say this was pretty big. But the thing is, it's just going to lead to a match.
He just beat a former WWE champion. How many former WWE champions do you think Grand Metalik is going to pin clean in the ring?
Yeah, but it's The Miz, so still not that big of a deal.
Good point.
The problem is, it's just going to lead to the Forgotten Sons, though, and then they're just going to lose to the Forgotten Sons. So, I mean, it's nice they got this one moment, but it's not going to lead anywhere, unfortunately.
Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defended the tag team titles on SmackDown this week, beating Carmella and Dana Brooke with a nice little 3D DDT type tag team finishing move. I like that move. That was nice.
Wasn't a 3D. If you remember,
Michael Cole called it a modified 3D.
Mike Cole's an idiot, but that's everyone knows that. That's actually the snapshot that Eminem used to do. That was their finisher.
Oh, okay. I think that's why Corey Graves was like, I think John Morrison may have showed them something there backstage, right? Nice, okay. Elsewhere in the WWE, we have some controversy here. There was an anonymous WWE employee claiming that they were forced to work during the pandemic. And it was an employee named John, which I think was, a pretend name, not a real name, saying that, asking the county to help out. The words were, "My employer, World Wrestling Entertainment, is forcing me to work the TV tapings for its weekly shows despite stay-at-home orders for coronavirus. I'm unable to speak out as I need this job, and I know I'll be fired if I approach my higher-ups. Despite sanitary precautions, we cannot maintain social distancing and have to touch other people." I mean, obviously, you're wrestling. "I request the government to shut down these tapings and enforce a stay-at-home order so my colleagues and I may follow social distancing rules without fear or repercussion of losing our jobs." Now, WWE responded and said these accusations aren't true. Employees know that they can confidentially go to human resources, not the public. Notwithstanding the appropriate protocol, no one would be fired if they were uncomfortable with their surroundings. We've made accommodations for individuals upon request. So WWE saying it's not true, but, if you're somebody like Austin Theory, for example, who just got called up to the main roster, you're a young kid, you want the job, you're on Raw every week now because of these conditions, you're not really going to say, hey, maybe we should shut down these tapings. You're not going to tell Vince McMahon anything when he is adamant that they are going to keep going. So I'm not really sure what happened here, but the WWE is staying firm and maintaining that they're going to continue to do these shows. We know that Roman Reigns has said that he's not going to wrestle. We're seeing several stars not at these tapings, Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, Edge, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. All these guys have been missing since WrestleMania. Roman Reigns since before WrestleMania. So a lot of these guys are not showing up. They're big stars. Maybe they're able to say no. Some of these guys that aren't big stars maybe don't have the same stroke in the company. This is a believable story, coming out of a WWE, an anonymous WWE wrestler kind of asking the government to intervene. Unfortunately, there's nothing they can really do. This would be a good time for the WWE to maybe unionize, or at least pro wrestling, as a whole to unionize, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Johnny North, you're a pro wrestler. What are your thoughts on the working conditions now and potentially some WWE wrestlers not happy about it? If you were a freshly called up wrestler on the Raw brand, how would you feel?
Well, I'd listen to what they're telling me, one on the government wise, then what the management's telling me, and what it sounds like they're taking as many precautions as possible, and they're being examined for that. I'm not sure about this whole Vince. Apparently he has this product that can kill viruses for like days on end that he's using. I don't know if you heard that on his conference call that he mentioned that.
What?
Yeah, apparently they have this product that apparently it kills viruses for days on end, and they use that to wipe the ring and everything with.
Okay. How is that even possible?
Not 100% sure. But Vince says he's trying his best, and you can see it. They're wearing masks, people that aren't being used on television as well. They're trying their best.
Yeah, I've seen some people not social distancing backstage at WWE. There's been some Instagram posts and stuff like that. Nia Jax did a TikTok with a referee standing right next to her. Doesn't seem like they're following all the protocols.
Right, but I can get that, though. I mean, if you're around people so much, you kind of just get used to being around people and you don't fear it as much. So I can kind of understand that.
Other WWE controversy this week, Velveteen Dream finding himself in a strange situation, being accused of soliciting an underage person for sex. Now, there are photos, allegedly. I haven't seen anything. I've heard a piece of audio that's out there, but it's not really conclusive that it's him or that he's saying anything bad. There's a piece of audio of Velveteen saying, "What school do you go to?" Which, in the context sounds bad, but like, who knows? Who even knows if it's him? It's not clear if it's Velveteen. Velveteen's saying it's not him, so I don't even want to talk about it here on the show, John. It's just out there. There's something going on with Velveteen Dream, but it might not really be him. If it is him, that's it for his wrestling career. If it's not him, you feel bad for the guy that somebody would try and do that to him and frame him in that way. It seems like a very strange thing to do. I don't even want to go there right now. Velveteen Dream did get some help this week on NXT from my main man, Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis taking over NXT. I'm telling you, it's Dexter Lumis time. And then soon it'll be Tahuti Miles time, and my guys will take over WWE. Dexter and Tahuti.
Well, Velveteen is probably going to get the shot against Adam Cole. That's what they're building towards. And I'm just thinking someone is like messing with him because it seems like he's going to get a push. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is all just BS about him. And it's unfortunate that he has to deal with it, but that's unfortunately celebrities deal with this kind of stuff.
We'll see. I don't know. I don't really want to comment on it until there's more facts. It's still kind of early in this process. We'll see what's going on there with the Velveteen. I'm more interested in Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis. Rob Gronkowski, who's the WWE 24/7 champion, signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to play football. I guess they either have to take that 24/7 title off of him immediately or just retire it with that guy.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, okay, like he's signed to play for the NFL. When is the NFL exactly coming back? Like, yeah, they had the draft, and that's easy to pull off at this point. But when it comes to games, are we actually going to see games? I'm skeptical on that. So I don't think they're going to pull the title off him if they don't have to.
I thought he was retired from football.
Yeah, but he came back and he was still under contract. So he can still play if he wants.
All right, whatever. If you like video games, well, this shouldn't affect you. There's going to be no WWE 2K21, but those games are terrible anyway, so who really cares?
Well, you'd hope eventually the games are going to get better, and maybe this year-long gap, maybe the games will get better. I would love to see a remake of one of the classic games, like the Smackdown games, like Here Comes the Pain. That was fantastic. Hopefully they do something like that again.
I'm more a fan of the THQ WWE games. When they changed to 2K, I just didn't really. I don't like them. Not as fun.
Right. I mean, that was fantastic, but unfortunately, it evolved. That's what happens. Things change over time. There's a retro game coming out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, sometimes things evolve and get better, but in WWE video game case, I think they've evolved and got worse, which is really unfortunate. Maybe the AEW video game, when it does come out, will be good. Let's talk a little AEW here, Big Johnny. Cody Rhodes is going to wrestle Darby Allin for the TNT title tournament semifinal coming up on Wednesday, and Cody's brother Dustin will wrestle Lance Archer in his semifinal match. I think Cody and Lance Archer wind up going to the finals, and at this point, I think Cody is going to be the first ever TNT champion.
So you've changed it. Before you had Darby actually going all the way and winning the title.
I'm changing my mind. Just based on what I've seen from the Dynamite show, it seems like they're focusing a lot on Cody and his journey and all of that. It seems like the TNT title is kind of about him. So watching the build, it definitely seems like this is all about Cody, and I think he beats Darby Allin, and then he beats Lance Archer, and he wins the title.
Wow, okay. Well, remember, this is going to apparently end at the pay-per-view, right? At Double or Nothing? So that's why it just makes sense to have Cody in a big match for the title, the only title he can compete for. And it'd be kind of fun if he faces the guy that beat his brother who he wanted to face.
I think the match will be great as well. The Cody and Archer match for the title I think is going to be great. Did you watch BTE 200, being the Elite 200, Matt Jackson versus Nick Jackson in that backyard brawl? The Young Bucks wrestling each other one-on-one. It doesn't happen very often. They did it on the Being the Elite show this week. I thought that was great stuff.
I only watched the highlights that they showed on Dynamite.
Oh.
It didn't seem that interesting to me.
It was good, man. Watch the match. It was fun. It was a good backyard match.
Sometimes backyard matches are fun, but I don't know, the Bucks, sometimes it's not that fun, though. And the last BTE, I think it was part 3, it wasn't that good. It really turned me off from watching more.
Well, you got to watch BTE 200. I'm telling you, some of the bumps that they took were pretty impressive. It was a good match. It was actually a very good match. I really enjoyed it. Brody Lee is going to wrestle Marco Stunt on Dynamite Wednesday. Oh, goodness. That's pretty cool.
Yes and no. I mean, it's just another squash match. I mean, Brody Lee had another squash match this week. It's cool that he's added more people to his stable, but it just seemed like he just added nobody to his stable, unfortunately.
Yeah, Brody Lee beat Justin Law, whoever that is, another jobber on Dynamite this week. Preston Vance is a guy who has now joined the Dark Order, a former football player. They showed a little promo there with a message of Vance's girlfriend breaking up with him and how he got hurt while playing football and nothing's going right in his life, so he decides to join the Dark Order, and then Brody Lee interviews him and gives him a mask and tells him now that he's in the Dark Order. So a new member of the Dark Order, Preston Vance. I don't know. Am I supposed to care about that?
The main takeaway from that was just Brody Lee did another like Vince McMahon thing, how we interview guys. Like, it seemed like Vince would interview a guy like that, you know, the height, the weight, did you play football? I could see Vince asking guys something like that.
Yeah. Dynamite beat NXT in the ratings in the States this week. I didn't think Dynamite was a great show. I thought the main event was a little weak, the Dustin Rhodes Kip Sabian match. I didn't think it was the best, you know. The Bubbly Bunch I didn't think was good at all. That flim-flam dancing thing, I thought that promo was flat. The Brody Lee Justin Law thing, like, I thought the first half of Dynamite was a lot better than the second half. I felt like the second hour dragged quite a bit and didn't really finish off with a bang, whereas the first hour, you know, you had Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara, fun match there to open up the show. You have a Matt Hardy promo, that was good. Kenny Omega wrestled Alan Eagles or whatever that guy's name was. You know, that was good. Seeing Kenny Omega, always good. And then you had a Scorpio Sky video package for some reason, not really sure why. And then Orange Cassidy, Jimmy Havoc wasn't great. Cassidy just took a beating for most of the match and then rolled up Havoc at the end with a little move there that was all right. And then Kip Sabian helped Jimmy Havoc beat up Orange after the match for some reason, which set up a Best Friends and Orange Cassidy versus Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc no DQ tag team match coming up Wednesday on Dynamite that I just do not care about. There's something about Kip Sabian that I just don't care about. I don't know why. He's very kind of, you know, there. He's just generic. There's nothing. I haven't been wowed by Kip Sabian, and when he's the main event of your show, it wasn't a great show.
Well, I thought it was definitely better than last week, and I think the main thing is that it started off pretty good. So I think that's what caught the viewers, and why I think it beat NXT this week. NXT had its moments, but it was inconsistent, unfortunately. And although maybe you didn't like the main event, I was intrigued by the stipulation. Although, like, you'd think Dustin wouldn't lose, but you're always wondering in the back of your mind, like, maybe he's going to lose. And that was kind of interesting that they put that in there.
He's going to retire. The stipulation was if he can't beat Kip Sabian, he retires. He's going to retire in a quarter final match for a championship against Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian is going to retire Dustin Rhodes? You really believed? I didn't at all. In fact, I didn't like that they did the stipulation because it was like, well, obviously Dustin's going to win now. At least going into the match without the stipulation, you could think, well, maybe Kip Sabian's going to win and advance in the tournament. It's possible, even though you can't take Sabian seriously at all. He hasn't beaten anybody that you've heard of in AEW. The only guys he beats are like, that bald guy who's friends with the Young Bucks, whatever his name is, Brandon Cutler. That guy, he beats that guy. He could beat Michael Nakazawa. Those are the guys that Kip Sabian beats. He doesn't beat anybody legitimate. He doesn't beat any real threats. And then you say, oh, well, if Dustin can't beat him, he's going to retire. Well, yeah, obviously Dustin's going to beat him. I hated that stipulation. I thought it was dumb.
Well, it made me question it. Dustin, like, maybe he's done wrestling. He just feels like he needs to finish his career now.
All the years you've been watching wrestling, Johnny North, I can't believe you got reeled in by something so simple as that. Did you think Lee Johnson was going to beat Wardlow too, Johnny?
What do you think?
I think you thought Lee Johnson had a chance.
I think they should have ended the match on the knee in the corner, actually. JR made a good mention about that in the post-show. It's like, that should have been a knockout. And I thought that the same as well when I'm watching it. It's like, you don't need to hit the finish as well. It was overkill.
Not enough Pineapple Pete. That's my main complaint about AEW this week.
He was there. Like, I don't know what the problem was.
Thank God Jericho's Thank God we have Jericho on commentary, because without him, the show, I think, would be pretty weak. I did not love AEW Dynamite this week, and normally I'm very high on the show, but I don't know. I thought SmackDown was better, mostly because of that Vince promo.
Well, I don't think that's why SmackDown was better, but SmackDown was something to talk about because of that, but it's not in a good way. I definitely thought Guevara and Allen was definitely the match of the week.
Yeah, it was very good. And even Kenny Omega with that guy, Alan Angles, whatever his name was, that was all right too.
And again, Raw started off okay. I thought, Mysterio and Murphy, there was still some good moments on Raw. SmackDown was all right. It ended badly. So when it ends badly, it's hard to say it was a good show.
No, I liked it. I liked the finish of SmackDown. That was my favorite segment of the week by far. You kidding here? Come on, man. Vince McMahon cutting an incoherent promo talking about the gobbledygooker. That was classic Vince. I mean, it wasn't good TV, but it was fun for me. I liked it. Favorite segment of the week for sure. It's a segment that I've actually watched twice. I watched it again. As soon as it was over, I was like, did I really see that correctly? And then I watched Vince's promo again. I've seen it like 3 times at this point. I love it.
I was a fan of Broken Matt this week. How he was also like regular Matt as well. And how it seems that they've changed the idea for the match. Instead of him and Jericho, it's going to be him and Guevara. I think that should be a lot of fun.
So Guevara is going to go to the Hardy compound?
It seems like it, because it seems he said that Jericho didn't accept his challenge, so he's challenging Guevara now. I'm guessing Jericho's probably going to wrestle Moxley at the pay-per-view instead.
So it'll be Jericho Moxley again?
Well, Moxley's supposed to be on Dynamite this week, so I think we'll get a better idea of who he's probably going to wrestle going forward.
Any chance we could put the title back on Jericho?
I doubt that's going to happen. I mean, they just started Moxley. He had 1 title defense. Granted, it wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but I don't think they're going to give up on him that quick.
Okay, I don't know. I would just say, hey, Jericho's not going on tour with Fozzy. He's on TV every week for our show. Let's make him the champion again. He's Chris Jericho. He's the best champion you could possibly have in AEW. But hey, that's just my opinion. I am Dave Simon. He is Johnny North. This has been Wrestling Uncensored. Check us out online, ringsidereport.net. We recapped the episode of Dark Side of the Ring featuring the Dino Bravo story this week on Dave and Johnny Live. Go check us out online, ringsidereport.net. Go to the YouTube channel. If you're watching us already, like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and when you do, click the bell so you get notifications every time we're on. If you're not watching us on YouTube, if you're listening to us on the radio, if you are listening to the podcast, you can watch this show as well. There's video versions on YouTube and Facebook Live with all sorts of effects and stuff happening. It's a good time. You can watch everything, get all the info for all the stuff at ringsidereport.net. Johnny North, we still don't know when your next match is, when people can see you in the ring. Of course, no matches announced until at least September, right?
Well, now they said Calgary canceled all their events up to August 31st as well, so I imagine most of Canada is probably going to cancel all their events as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but keep checking out Torture Chamber Pro Wrestling on Facebook, and apparently they have a YouTube channel as well where they show clashes, so maybe one day you'll see a classic match of mine.
Yeah, well, if there is one of your matches put out there, John, I would hope that you would tweet it out at North Genesis, at Genesis Johnny North on Instagram. You could follow me on all the things at Dave Simon MMA. For the big man, Johnny North, I am Dave Simon. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. This has been Wrestling Uncensored. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.